Hello again, and welcome to another episode of the Fun Fans Podcast with no internet but a hotspot, so no music. That music takes a lot of. I think it takes a lot of the Wi-Fi. But anyway, we still have a great show for you tonight. We're going to point out how open our entire state was this weekend. We'll preview that 7:30 matchup with Louisville versus Clemson and the tailgate that will precede it. And most important, and we'll talk about this past week of college football. Maybe a short discussion on the CFP rankings that are coming soon. But first, the Fanboys have completely merged with Greenville Sports Media, and the Fun Fans are a proud part of the Greenville Sports Media podcasting network. If you're a true sports fan, the Greenville Sports Media is perfect for you. Find various nationwide podcasts, the latest articles, and other sports media at greenvillesportsmedia.com, who can also be found on all forms of social media, just like the Fun Fans. The Fun Fans podcast is the official podcast for Clemson fans.
That's right. And Reuben's is the official wing sponsor for the tailgate.
Wing sponsor.
Clemson, Reuben's Food, Sports, Spirits, and Catering, the best wings around, with 2 locations in the upstate, 1083 Batesville Road in Greer and 11028 Anderson Road in Piedmont. You can find them at RubensC.com. Reuben's is simply a great place to eat for all sports fans. Ha-ha.
The Fun Fans podcast is now also brought to you by Ivy O'Sullivan Healthcare Services. At Ivy O'Sullivan, they are more than just chiropractors. Since 1977, this family-owned business located in downtown Spartanburg has been helping people with techniques other than the typical twisting and popping that can sometimes make people nervous about trying a chiropractor. I've been a patient my entire life, and I take my own children there as well. If you have an ache or pain, give Ivy O'Sullivan Healthcare a try. And if you mention the Fun Fans podcast, they'll donate 100% of your initial evaluation cost to their charity of the month, which in October was Samaritan's Purse, by the way. So call them at 864-583-3967 or find them at ivyosullivan.com to feel better and function at your best. Okay, so what do we mean by our state was open this weekend, Bailey? You know.
Hey, let me interrupt you real quick. We have a couple of Gamecocks out there watching this thing. Donna and Rob Ferris, welcome to the show.
Hey, Donna and Rob.
You may comment on the Facebook site, but you may not call in as you requested earlier.
Yeah, we don't have the technology. This is still the low budget.
No, we're not taking calls.
Podcast. Yeah, and plus Dabo, we were following Dabo and many other head coaches' lead. That'd be kind of fun, though. I have thought about that, but maybe not.
No, Donna did comment on Facebook.
We need a screener.
She said. And she said, "Go Cox." Well, I'm gonna. How do I block somebody?
No, that's fine. Because well, that's what we're talking about. So the Gamecocks didn't lose, just like Clemson didn't lose this weekend, and also found out that Furman was open this weekend. So this was the Saturday that everybody was supposed to get married. If you wanted to get married in the fall, hopefully you did it this weekend because that's it. That'll
right.
be. And I wonder, do you think they planned that? Did they get together and say, let's have one open weekend?
Well, I mean, it would be a great idea if both schools or, even all the schools were open. That way people could get done what they needed to get done.
Let's do it.
Because we're talking about football season. We're not talking about wedding season.
Right. This is football.
That's June and July.
Wedding season. That's right. It's in late spring, early summer type stuff. Right. So did you do anything this weekend special, non-football related? Other than the Eagles having a big victory.
Remember golf tournament. Yeah.
Remember golf tournament.
That's a pretty productive weekend on that front.
We had a really cool fundraiser recognition type deal for Coach Dave Smith. We'll give a shout out to Diamond Dave. He's a legend, and it was a great event, and that was really cool. So, and a great weekend to do that type of thing. Of course, his daughter and our athletic director did a great job picking the Saturday to have that event. So. Kickoff time, we do have a game this coming Saturday. It has been announced. We had to do the little 6-day wait or whatever they call it deal. Right. 7:30 prime time. No Dion. This is the prime time. We got another prime time game. Are we excited about that one?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've got some friends coming over. We might have some friends with us. And I mean, anytime it's later in the day, more people come by and we have a better time. So I'm looking forward to it.
Same.
I mean, 3:30 is ideal, as we talked about before, but 7:30 is we'll have plenty of time to have a good time at the tailgate and see the Tigers beat the Cardinals.
Yeah, some of the friends coming up are coming from Lexington, and there makes the drive home a little later. But I'm sure that wasn't their preference, but we don't. It's you can't have your cake and eat it too. We enjoy the tailgate and the game and the kickoff, no matter what time it is. But it will be really cool. It's cool to have all now that the stadiums have all the lights and the fireworks and all that stuff. Every once in a while, you got to have a night game so you can show stuff off. Speaking of Louisville, they beat BC Friday night. I know you didn't watch that game because you were watching Clover's. Let's see, when I turned the radio on once and it was close, and then I turned it on again and Clover had scored like 20-something unanswered points. So they finished a big victory over Nation Ford. Is that right? Friday night?
Yep.
All right. So, but I caught the second half of Louisville BC, and I'm going to tell you, Louisville looks good. They were ranked for most of the season. I don't think they were ranked this past week. And I didn't check. I didn't see them in the most updated AP rankings. But the thing about, in my opinion, Louisville looked fast everywhere. Every position, they look fast. And that can always be to an advantage. Have you any thoughts on Louisville as far as how they've been doing this season?
Yeah, so I haven't had a chance to break down the film like I normally do, James. But I will say Louisville probably one of the better teams Clemson has played this year, other than obviously Georgia. And there's a critical 3-game stretch coming up. Louisville at home, and then at Virginia Tech and at Pittsburgh. But honestly, if Clemson plays the way they've been playing, this is another Clemson win, in my opinion. Now, obviously, the other team has something to do with that, but I think Clemson's very fast in every position too.
Yep, agreed.
And the Gamecocks have a big one this weekend against Texas A&M.
That's huge. A&M looks they're looking really good. Kind of like those black uniforms. Those, I think it was a matte black helmet they were wearing
I like
the other
the way
night.
you did that color scheme. Matte black means it's a dull black
versus the shiny stuff,
right.
The gloss. But yeah, that's a big game. So everybody's back to playing ball. I don't think there are any open dates left for anybody for the rest of the season. So yeah, Clemson will be, I don't know what the spread is. Clemson will be, honestly, my opinion is if we continue to not turn the ball over, or at least win the turnover battle, preferably by more than just one or two, we should be okay. And it'll be great anyway. Like you say, Louisville, they're a good team, so it should be a good game. But before the game, and we're having friends over, and more people come by, and hopefully the hat will have some time to swing by.
Yep.
But so what's the tailgate plans? That's kind of the more important thing.
Well, to answer your question to begin with, Clemson is a 10.5-point early favorite over Louisville.
And that's one of the closer spreads.
It is the closest one
for the Tigers. Yeah.
So, hey, let's talk about the tailgate. All right.
Let's do it.
The Rock speakers are going to be there.
The Rock,
right?
Then
playing a great Spotify mix of old school tunes and some new stuff. And we will have a big time. And we have some Katie and some of her friends will be over there, and then we have some other friends potentially coming, and then some other folks that I work with might come over there, and so we'll be ready to roll.
And it's family friendly, and at least if we hear something that's not family friendly, we generally skip to the next song. So
yeah, it's normally PG-13 at the very least.
That's right. It's all. So I checked the weather, and because it's getting that time of year where we can maybe have a pot of chili or something like that, but it's supposed to be like mid-70s. So I'm thinking no chili.
Yeah,
we'll come up with something.
Chili's for like that cold game.
Yeah, it's not cold. Not supposed to be cold yet.
Come to town.
Yeah, that one will be good. So we'll figure out what to have at some point, and the best part will be the friends that we'll be hanging out with for sure. And if you come by, that'll be great. If you don't come by, enjoy your tailgate, people. Are the Gamecocks hosting A&M?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah,
it's about the same time as Clemson Louisville.
7.
Yeah, I think it's either 7 or 7:30. I mean, Donna Ferris could comment on Facebook. I'm seeing her pop up. What time the game time is?
Yeah, well, they're going to enjoy their tailgate too. So
we're not worried about that game time.
We're going to go from a open Saturday to half the state of South Carolina tailgating at the same time.
That's right.
So that's what it's all about. And that'll be awesome. So, and one more thing, let me ask you this: we've talked about trying to have a television. Do we want to try
Well,
to?
I think it's ABC at 7:30 for the Cox, and yes, I think we are going to have a television this week. We have a generator coming, and we're going to do a hotspot, and we're going to have a TV.
All right. So okay, we'll see how that goes. Looking forward to it. And
Yeah.
everybody's invited.
Oh yeah. Come on over.
Work in the corner,
Centennial Extension at Perimeter Road.
Perimeter Road. And you know what? You might get when you hear the music playing.
What's that?
You might get a little energy.
That's right. Because Dubby. Hey James.
Yeah.
I had some Dubby energy this morning.
And that's why you're so hyped right now.
No, I'm hyped because I won a bunch of money this weekend playing golf, but I had some Dubby energy this morning, and I think it's carried over into the evening.
Hey, that W energy is for real. It's a jitterless energy drink. Go to w.gg, enter promo code FUNFANS for 10% off and get you some whatever flavor you prefer. Jitterless energy drink. Okay, so this past Saturday, kind of going back in time, in my opinion, in general terms, not going to break down any specific games or anything, but it seemed like, a couple of weeks ago, there was an upset Saturday. A lot of teams that were ranked higher or everybody was picking, got beat. This week, there seemed to be almost a theme of a team being pushed to the limits, but the team that was supposed to win coming out with the victory when it's all said and done. Texas over Vandy. I mean, Vandy, they gave them all they could handle, but Texas and Nebraska was looking really good against Ohio State.
Yep.
But Ohio State kind of, just buckled up a little bit and hunkered down or whatever you want to call it and came out with that victory. Boys over UNLV. I think that one's like on Friday night, so you missed that one as well. And we might talk a little more in a minute about SMU over Duke. Duke had it. They had it. The exception was the A&M over LSU game, but those teams are only ranked about 5 or 6 spots apart. In my opinion, that was probably a more of a pick 'em than an upset kind of thing. Anyway, so any of those games were you playing in the tournament the whole time? Did you get to see any of those games?
I watched some football yesterday afternoon into the evening. I was kind of flipping back and forth. I watched the majority of Ohio State and Nebraska, and then I also watched a little Texas Vandy, watched a little LSU, Texas A&M, and a little bit of SMU and Duke. So I saw a little bit of all of them.
So overall, kind of that was just a theme. There were some good games, and the team that was supposed to win kind of came out on top. But just a little more discussion on the SMU Duke, because as Clemson fans, of course, we were wanting Duke to give SMU that loss because you got 3 teams, or actually 4 now. I believe Pitt is still undefeated and starting to play that role. But there's 3 teams that are currently undefeated in the ACC that none of them play each other, with Clemson, Miami, and SMU. We talked about that before.
Right.
And that's some discussion among some Clemson fans out in the community. But Duke just didn't do it for us. So did SMU, from what you saw though, if SMU makes the conference championship, I mean, they definitely look beatable. Are they going to trip up? Assuming Clemson takes care of business, they're going to end up with a loss for us all said and done?
Well, I was going to look at I kind of the other day I went through and looked at some of the rest of their schedules. Clemson definitely has a tough schedule.
Toughest
at Virginia Tech, which is
and
always tough, and at Pitt. And last time we played at Pitt, Katie was actually there. It didn't go great.
We were there, and it didn't go great.
And I did see some great, I saw some Pitt sweatshirts Friday night at a high school game. I was like, okay, wear them when you can, Yeah. But I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to give you my 2 cents. Miami and Clemson are the 2 best teams in the ACC.
Agreed.
Hands down. And, SMU's pretty good. And Duke's pretty good. And, there are other teams that are pretty good. But you talk about elite level football, you're talking about Miami, who didn't play really great last night.
Mm-hmm.
But, there are 4 and 5 stars on Miami's team and Clemson's team, and only a handful of them, if any, on those other teams. So, talent will rise above.
Yeah, we'll see. I think Miami has already, assuming once again, and that Clemson takes care of business. You just want to, the thing is, you just want to control your own destiny.
Correct.
You don't do that in a three-way tie with teams you don't play. So that's something that it would be nice to avoid. But your part of controlling your own destiny is to continue to win out. And assuming Clemson does that, I think Miami, and I've looked at their schedules as well. Miami, they've already had their should have lost games and they won. So the kind of the vibe and how seasons go and this kind of thing. So I don't see them losing the game. So we're kind of counting on somebody to beat SMU so we don't have to worry about the tiebreaker. A couple of weeks from now, it'll literally get to the point where here's what will need to happen to break these ties. And in my opinion, it's not worth putting the time into it right now. But just remember, we've talked about the tiebreakers before. If three teams end up undefeated at the end of the season, literally the tiebreaker would go to who had the strongest strength of conference schedule. So you would, at your own win percentage, you would look at your opponent's winning percentage, and I don't have any idea how that would.
Well, Pittsburgh or SMU is going to be eliminated after next week because they play each other.
Correct.
I mean, that's a reality.
And then we play Pittsburgh, so we need, if Pitt beats, obviously if Pitt beats SMU, we beat Pitt, then we're sitting pretty. But the hypotheticals we'll worry about after all that's said and done. But now that said, that brings up an interesting question. Does an undefeated ACC team that does not play in the conference championship, whichever one gets left out, hypothetically speaking, do they make the college playoffs?
If they're undefeated?
Well, I mean, undefeated, they're going to have to win out from here on out. So Clemson would have a loss. SMU has whatever, they have a loss. I think they've lost to Boise State. Miami would be undefeated. So
yeah, I mean, I don't see any reason unless Duke can somehow beat Miami. The only other thing I see on Miami's schedule is at Syracuse, the last game of the year.
Well, but what I'm saying is, if all the teams finish out undefeated and the tiebreaker puts Miami, let's say, out of the ACC championship game, are they going to get a spot in the playoffs?
Well, but that cannot happen.
It can.
No, it can't.
What do you mean?
SMU plays Pittsburgh this week.
Oh, I'm talking about, you're talking about Miami.
Wait a minute. One of those teams is going to lose.
But what about Miami?
Miami still has to play Syracuse. All right. Miami could go undefeated.
Right.
Clemson could go undefeated. I stand corrected. SMU could go undefeated.
Yes.
But if Clemson goes undefeated, Pittsburgh will not be undefeated.
Correct. So we're looking at SMU.
So then you have a three-way tie, and then you look at the strength of schedule, and and I know Clemson's schedule is tougher than the rest of them.
Is it overall, though?
I mean, let's just say it is.
Well, so let's say.
I mean, we could break this down. I will break it down before next week.
We'll do it next week. Or the week. It's probably better the week after.
So common opponents, Miami would have played Virginia Tech. They would have played Louisville and Wake Forest. Those are the common opponents they would have at Clemson.
Well, and they start looking at the overall schedule. So I guess what I'm saying is, so Miami, if Miami gets left out of the ACC championship based on tiebreaker, they're going to get into playoffs, right?
I would think so.
What about Clemson? Hypothetically.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what about SMU?
No.
Probably not. Okay, that's what I figured.
If you look at the rankings,
yeah,
the people that are making the rankings they're not silly. They're not stupid.
Right.
They're making the rankings based on who they've played and who they've beaten and how they've beaten them.
They love some Notre Dame, though, this week.
Oh, well, Notre Dame continues to roll, and I guarantee you, no matter how bad Notre Dame plays in their next couple of games, if they win, they're going to be in the playoff. Notre Dame's going to be in the playoff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They've got the worst one loss out of anybody with the one loss, though. But, yeah, they're Notre Dame. So, all right. So, speaking of the playoffs, those first rankings come out on November 5th. That's a 1 week from this Tuesday. Also happens to be Election Day. You think they did that on purpose?
Well, I cannot wait till election day till the political ads are
Over.
removed from my television.
Yeah, they're over. I can't wait till they're over.
I've already voted. I exercised my right early.
Same here.
Man,
Same
I'm
here. Done. So who's your number one team right now? If you were to do this,
Oregon.
Oregon.
Mm.
I can see where they would be the number one team. I still think Georgia's the best team out there. I think
when they bring it,
yeah,
they are good.
They had a bad half against Alabama and got them a loss, but I think Georgia's the best team in the country. I think they would beat Oregon, but I think Oregon right now, if they keep winning, they'll be the number one team in the CFP rankings. Are there any? Now, this was interesting, in my opinion, based on what I was seeing this weekend. Do you think any of the top teams, and they're talking, 20 plus teams have a shot right now still at the playoffs? Are any of those top 10, 15 teams unbeatable, in your opinion?
I'm just arguing with one of our listeners right now. Honestly, let's keep it real. There's a couple teams Clemson don't want to play.
Right.
I'm not sure Clemson wants to play the Gamecocks. Let's blow them up. Let's make them the greatest thing ever. They're the best 4-3 team in America, or whatever the record is.
Yeah, they might be.
They're a couple scores from being 7-1 or 6-1. But I don't want to play Oregon. Clemson don't want to play Oregon.
That might not be
I don't think Clemson wants to play Georgia again.
I agree.
Let's just be honest.
After that, I think. Well,
I think they can play with anybody else.
I agree. I don't think any of them are unbeatable. I think some of the other teams, given the right day and the right time, could beat anybody. So kind of, I think whoever lands in the playoffs, I think is pretty wide open.
Okay, let's just keep this in perspective. Clemson got whooped for one half of football.
Yes.
All year. That's it.
And it was by Georgia, and literally that's kind of the same thing that had happened to them.
That's it.
So, and it was by another good team, Alabama. I still think Alabama's a good team. They
are good.
Commentators
is good.
In there.
A&M's good. LSU's good. They're all good.
Yeah, they're acting like Alabama just like can't get it together or making all. I'm like, they're a really good team. I tell you,
I think Penn State's overrated.
Who?
Penn State. But I always do. Yeah, I've said it on here before.
They always get,
and we're going to find out this week. They play.
I was going to say
State.
that they always get the opportunity to prove their ranking. So we shall see. It's a big Saturday. It's a big weekend. Penn State, Ohio State, Clemson, Louisville, for ACC, and SMU playing Pitt. But then and the Gamecocks playing A&M. Those are big games to us. So anyway, we think
there's a big game around here Friday night. Clover, Catawba Ridge, big game.
Catawba Ridge. Now, is that one of those new schools that I don't even know about?
Mill's
growing so fast.
They're playing really good. We're playing pretty good, and it's there's a lot on the line Friday night. Let's put it that way.
It's a good thing you get to sleep in.
Second. Yep.
Are y'all hosting?
Nope, we're not.
Well, speaking of this Friday, since you brought it up, GMC has our annual football game. That's
what, Powder Puff?
Yeah, the Spirit Week Powder Puff.
Yeah,
so
okay.
Currently still undefeated, 17 years and counting.
Like Winthrop, never lost a football game.
That's right. Can't go wrong. Hey, but quick reminder, the Fanboys merged with Greenville Sports Media, so you can find our podcast and Facebook and YouTube stuff information at greenvillesportsmedia.com. Be safe this Thursday on Halloween. I want to also give a shout out to my daughter's volleyball team. I want you guys to enjoy your time on the floor. So the seniors are, and you know how it is, Bailey, are finishing up not just a season but a career, and we've already pointed out that we think everybody should go vote. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you're enjoying this college football season. Make sure you enjoy your tailgates and enjoy your team's accomplishments. No negativity out there. It's week by week, and everybody's doing the best they can. Whether they're kids, they're still kids, whether they're getting paid or not, right, B?
That's a fact, man. They're just older children
playing
football. Stop yelling from the bleachers. and just support your team, no
Amen.
matter who it is.
All right. Thanks again for checking us out each and every Sunday. Don't forget to click subscribe on the Fun Fans Podcast YouTube channel, as well as your favorite podcast platform. Speaking of that, the audio won't be uploaded till probably Wednesday or Thursday. I should have internet back by then. Follow us on social media and share, please. Reach out to become a sponsor on behalf of the Fun Fans Podcast, J Thrill Entertainment, Greenville Sports Media, and Bailey Jackson.
Hey, we'd like to thank you, new listeners tonight, new viewers, but always go Tigers.
Always go Tigers.